For years, banks promised innovation, but they gave us fees and friction and fine prints. Today, all that changes. Introducing Private Key Bank from Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club, the world's first Bitcoin native credit union. Rebuilt from the ground up in the heart of El Salvador, a place where your Bitcoin isn't just stored, it grows. Earn 4% interest paid in Bitcoin, compounded, secured, and accessible. No middlemen, no hidden games, just your money working for you. Send funds across borders instantly, without SWIFT codes, without currency conversions. Pay anyone, anywhere, with a tap of a finger. This isn't banking as usual. This is freedom, beautifully engineered. The future of finance is finally here.
Good morning, you sexy mother pluckers. It's Tuesday, and I'm in Nevada, I think. No, Arizona. Yep, I'm in Arizona. Boy, that just shows how much I travel when I don't even know where the fuck I'm at anymore. Shout out to my boy Ivan on Tech. He's up early in the morning and he's getting it. He's hitting it and getting it. Shout out Ivan. Great show this morning, by the way. Okay, now, guys and gals here, let me see if I can swing this. This here is what I actually want to talk about today. A lot of people don't realize what's really going on in the big Washington, D.C. Federal Reserve, what's really happening and why it's happening. Now, what you need to realize is that the federal government is in a ton of debt, which means we're in a ton of debt. Thanks, government. And the reason we're in a ton of debt is they wanted to use a lot of money, but they knew that they couldn't raise taxes because we'd all actually tell them to go fuck themselves. So what did they do? Switch on the printer. Switch on the printer. No big deal. Now, what everyone else is finally catching on to is something I have been saying for years. Now, mind you, I have been doing my show for about, I think, 9 years now. Good Lord, 9 years. And look at me. Look, Jesus, guys, I'm only 27. Look at what Bitcoin has aged me. What I have been saying for probably 8 years of that show, once it finally really clicked on where this was all going. And I used to have arguments with people like, oh, Trump hates Bitcoin and blah, blah. No, he doesn't. He sees it as a tool. But actually back then, we were too small. He couldn't utilize us. He couldn't utilize the Bitcoin because it wasn't big enough. And that's what a lot of people and a lot of corporations have been waiting for, waiting to see if the general public globally would adopt us, would adopt the Bitcoin, would realize what we realized. And they have. Now we're at 118,000 per Bitcoin. And what was the event that really locked us in? $100,000 Bitcoin. It's a psychological number. Like you've heard a lot of people say, if it hits 100,000, it hits 1,000,000. Because what people are realizing now is there is no top. There isn't a top to the Bitcoin because it isn't a product. It isn't it isn't reliant on a corporation's profit. See, a share has a limited appreciation actually based on the profitability and the market share of a corporation that produces the product. Not Bitcoin. What is it? It's a monetary unit. Now, a monetary unit has no top and has no bottom because a monetary unit, you can either appreciate or you can inflate away its value just moving a couple of decimal points. That's why in wherever you really want to look, a great example would be Zimbabwe. They had $1 trillion reserve notes. So if you had one of those, you were a trillionaire. And that actually bought you a little bit over jack shit. That's what that bought you. $1 trillion. So number go up does not equal purchasing power. That's the dollar. That's where we're at right now. All right, because we're at a point where the value of the dollar is crashing against everything else, especially Bitcoin. Right? Let's look at fucking Bitcoin. The ones produced today in the next 10 minutes are exactly the same as one that was produced 10 years ago. So the quality of the Bitcoin hasn't gone up. It's just Bitcoin. But 10 years ago, it was $100, $200, maybe $300, $600, whatever. Well, what changed? Did it get better? No. What changed was the people valued the Bitcoin more than they valued the dollars. So the number of US dollars that it took to actually purchase one fucking Bitcoin went up. It went up to 1,000. Then it went up to 20,000. Then it went up to 60,000. Then right now we're at 118 and some change. Let's really think about that, guys. It isn't that the Bitcoin has gotten better. Like it doesn't clean your fucking house now. You can't drive around in a Bitcoin. The utility is still the same. It's like oil. Why was it when Henry Ford launched his company, oil was like $1 a barrel? Do we have a lot better oil? No, it's just oil. It's oil. Why is it now $40 or $60 or wherever the hell it's at? The oil didn't get better. the dollar got worth less. And now it's reaching a point where if we do not address this, then the dollar will be worthless. And this, let me run through this real quick. What it says up here in horrible handwriting is the Bitcoin is a commodity. Commodities are calculated into the US GDP. Holding and production in America. So when an American company that is mining the Bitcoin actually gets a reward of a block, that's considered a creation event of a commodity. It's like when you grow corn. Once that corn is at a certain level of maturity, you can sell it into the futures, or you can sell it into the market. So you have produced a commodity. Now that commodity value is what's calculated into the GDP. So our problem here in America, we have a lot of debt and we need a higher GDP. Well, Washington, D.C. and Elon Musk, higher GDP through production and robotics and AI is coming. It ain't here yet. We got about 4 or 5 years until robots reach a point where they affect the GDP. Well, what do we do until then? Because what really holds our value of our currency is our percentage of the debt to GDP. Let me explain it in very common terms. If you bring home $100,000 a year, but every year you spend $150,000, your debt to GDP is bad. It's really, really, really bad because you spend more than you earn. Well, that's what America's at right now. We spend more than we earn. That's a bad credit risk, which means that our currency is actually lowered or inflated away. And if you guys hear something, that's okay. We have a guy who's actually power washing our RV. Hopefully it isn't too noisy. Hopefully you can't hear it too much. But if you can, oh, that's fine. Yeah, sorry guys, it's the only time we could actually get it power washed. Because it is dirty out here in the desert. You get a lot of dust and shit. Plus, we haven't really washed it in maybe a month and a half. So it's not that it's ugly, but it's dirty. So I like to have a clean RV, not real big on a nasty RV. So let me get back to us actually being absolutely fucking broke and a bad credit risk, because that is actually what people look at when they value the dollar. Are we a credit risk? They're looking at how much do we owe and how much do we produce? Well, if we don't produce enough, and we owe a ton, we're a bad credit risk. Now, fortunately for us, so is everyone else. The European Union is absolutely garbage. Every other treasury bond out there is absolutely garbage. Every other currency is absolutely garbage. But we're a little bit less garbage because we are the global reserve currency temporarily. Because actually, the Bitcoin is going to replace that. And we've heard the CEO of BlackRock actually came out yesterday or the day before and said, yeah, the Bitcoin will be the new global reserve currency. So you think, wait a second, BlackRock, the CEO, he's on television in public saying, yeah, the Bitcoin will overtake the US dollar as the global exchange currency. Why is he saying that? Because the US dollar is too volatile to the downside. Trust me, we've all heard, well, the Bitcoin's too volatile. It isn't the Bitcoin that's volatile. It's the dollar. It's all of the fiat that's volatile because they keep printing more. And that's something else I actually want to talk about, guys. Do you really want to know the truth of printing money? They can never print enough money. Ever. What the Federal Reserve actually does, their real job is managing expectations, manipulating the perception of the people in the market, because they can never print enough money, because value and asset value is always growing. Here's an example, and I'll use Bitcoin. Let's use round numbers. All right, let's say one Bitcoin is worth $100,000. And then the price goes up to $101,000. That $1 increase increases the Federal Reserve's liability to produce equivalent currency by 21 million. And I'm using round numbers. The accurate number would actually be 19,900,000 and some change, because that is how much actual of the Bitcoin is in existence. So, because when it goes from $100,000 per Bitcoin to $101,000, that just means it went up $1. Someone paid $101,000 for some Bitcoin. That raises the value of all of the other ones up $1. So when it goes up $1, the market cap actually goes up 21 million. And like I said, I'm using round numbers. That's not accurate, but whatever is in existence at that moment. So the Federal Reserve is liable to produce $1 if requested for that value add. They can never print enough money. because they can never print enough money to accurately represent the true value of what can be purchased using US dollars. Because, like, every single day we produce more things, we offer more services, and every single, as long as the population is growing, or as long as the need for units or need for products or need for services grow, the claim of value against the Federal Reserve always grows. Here's a little secret, guys. The money printer has never shut off. Do you realize that? Since 1913, they've never quit printing money. They printed every day. There are people who work at the mints and at the printing press. They have full-time jobs. It isn't like Jerome Powell hops on a phone and goes, all right, yeah, hey, we're going to need to crank up the printer. So could you call up, Joe and Alice and Jamie and get them, crank that printer up. No, guys, it's a full-time job, 24 hours a day. They don't shut it down. They've always printed money, and they will continue to print money because they can never not print money, because the redemption obligation of the Federal Reserve is unlimited. Unlimited. They can never print enough money to represent the true value price of all of the world GDP that is accepted in dollars. Never. So they've always printed money. What they do is they lower the interest rate or raise the interest rate. And all that does is change expectations in the market. So they manipulate the market using the interest rate to affect the perception of the people in the market. That's why they're always lagging, right? That's why the Fed's always wrong, because they rely on old calculations that are always false. They're not accurate. Inflation and inflation rate is not equal. Like, inflation all over America is not equal. In some housing markets, prices are dropping. In some housing markets, prices are going up. So when you see, inflation rate dropped, they're always taking shit out of the basket of inflation and putting other shit in there so they can actually balance out their lie. Like, used car prices went up. Yeah, let's actually take those out and replace it with an equivalent. Like, used mobile homes dropped. Okay, let's put in used mobile homes. It's all manipulating the expectations of the market. And guess who the market is? Us. We're the market. That's just reality, folks. They've never quit printing money. They never will. Plus, that's just the paper money. What about the digital liabilities on all of, because, all right, now this will blow your fucking mind. We have physical representation of currency. We have a digital digital representation of currency in the banking market. Now, the third one is the projected credit availability. Now, we all have credit cards. We all have a maximum credit line. Let's say you have a credit card that has $25,000 of credit. Well, that means there is an unrealized $25,000 of unrealized US dollar claims. That's what credit is. It's a credit claim. So if someone owes you money, you claim that they owe you money, and they agree. That claim is accurate. That's what credit is. It is a I owe you some fucking money. Now, that's on the credit card, and that's on loans for cars. There's an unlimited amount of credit in the world because there's an unlimited or unknown availability of credit. So that's a whole nother thing. All right. Now, this is the part that will blow your mind. All right. There is an economic term, and I'm pretty sure they call it individual credit allocation. I'm pretty sure that's what they call it, individual credit allocation. That's where I personally, all right, let's say I have this Red Bull. Let me rephrase that. I have a brand new Red Bull. And one of my friends say, look, man, that Red Bull looks good, but I don't have $1. Right? Hell, shit, Red Bulls are like, I don't know how much they are now, but they ain't $1. All right? I'd really love that Red Bull. Is there any way I could make some payments on that Red Bull? You know, put a little something down on it. Or a perfect example is a car. All right? You have an extra car. One of your buddies, you know, they need a car, but they got shit credit, or they just like your car, and you and him are close friends. And he was like, look, Ben, I'll tell you what, I don't want to get a loan because I don't want to go through all that bullshit, but I put you $5,000 down, and you let me make the payments on that car, and we just keep it between you and me. Okay. That's what I'm talking. That's another level of credit. So there's so many different levels of credit and unrealized or unrecognizable credit allocation that they can never quit printing money because they have to. That's why, all right, let's put it this way. If they had to actually print the amount of currency needed to actually satisfy every single obligation or every claim of currency, we'd have no trees left. All right, we'd have no cotton left. We couldn't keep up with the money production because there's so much unrealized claims on that is available. See, a lot of people don't realize that part of the problem in 1929 was credit. Individual, unrealized, uncapitalized credit. It was the Federal Reserve couldn't keep up with the money printing, and not all of the actual not all of the existing credit unions and the banks, they weren't all actually tied into the monetary wire, which was oh, look, we have a Wall Street ticker. All that was that little string of actual paper, and you'd read the ticker. All that was a telegraph. But not all of the banks and the credit unions who had issued credit, not all of them had a telegram wire. And you could not send out a mass message on telegraph or telegram wire. You had to send a specific message to a specific line. That is where we're at now. That's why they're going digital. That's why the European Union is launching their CD, central bank digital currency. And Europe, you guys are fucked. If you're watching this in Europe, you might as well just look at yourself and go, holy shit, I'm fucked. Because you guys need a revolution. The only way this shit is gonna stop is you need a 1776 on your fucking people. Someone needs to slap the fuck out of Lagarde, or as I like to call her, La Retard. Now, over here in America, this is what they're doing. That's why Trump has said in the past, I want to mine all the Bitcoin here in America. I want American-made Bitcoin. Yeah, America. Why? Because the production, the mining of the Bitcoin is included in the GDP. All right. Now, when it is produced, it has a production value. But when they calculate GDP, they can calculate it as what is called mark-to-market value. So if you produce, right, if America produces $100 million worth of Bitcoin, and I'm just fucking tossing out numbers, right? $100 million worth of friggin' Bitcoin last year. And when they produced it, it was worth 60,000, whatever. Well, this year, if they produce a bunch of Bitcoin in January. And in January, it's worth $70,000. Well, in December or this month, what they can do is they can actually mark to market that produced Bitcoin because it was produced in America. We can prove who solved the block. So wherever in the world that block was solved, or if we can prove it was in America, they can calculate it towards the GDP. Because GDP is about to go fucking digital, folks. Gross domestic product with AI and robotics is about to go digital. And a big swath of the GDP is going to be digital. And they're going to actually be able to recalculate GDP with the production of digital currencies and digital utility tokens. It's one of the reasons why, right? Trump is inviting all of these miners to mine in America. Because not that Trump doesn't love you, he does love you, but he's worried about GDP, what we owe, our debt versus GDP. That's the calculation. Because if you owe more than you make, you're fucked. But if you make more than you owe, you're good. That's a healthy economy. And with robots and AI that will be coming, GDP will rise naturally. But they're not here yet. We got about 4 or 5 years before robotics and AI really accumulate enough value exchange or production to affect the GDP. But the Bitcoin's different. It's here. It's now. And that's where this is all going. That Trump is going to use the Bitcoin to absorb the inflation needed to increase the GDP. Do you see what I'm saying? Trump wants lower interest rates so that he can run the U.S. economy hot. And I mean fucking hot. But he can't allow that inflation to be injected into the everyday commodities, the housing, the food, the eggs. How do you do that? The Bitcoin. What's its only job? Eating fiat. That's what Bitcoin does. It eats inflation. It's like a fat dude at a fucking buffet. Just keep it coming. And that's what Trump's going to use to absorb. And even, mark my words, guys, housing prices will drop a little because a lot of people are going to sell their houses and buy Bitcoin. Now, smart people will use our loan program and refinance their house. and use the equity in the house to buy Bitcoin. We've already done that for a lot of people at at our clubs. Yeah, we can help you get a home equity loan and then help you buy Bitcoin. Boom, boom. Your option. And because remember, equity is unrealized gains. Well, if you're like me and you think that property values are going to go down a little, maybe a lot, you want to actually capture those unrealized equity gains and roll them into an appreciating asset so it can go up. That's what rich people do. They capture equity, which is unrealized appreciation, and they use that and they leverage it into an asset that's going up. And that's where this is all going, guys. Because as robotics and AI improve and are used more, prices will drop. Prices will drop a lot because the number one cost in a physical production corporation or company or service provider is labor. Human capital is the most expensive line on any corporation's or company's balance. Your labor. Well, what happens when you can shift and replace that labor cost with AI or robotics? Because remember, a robot ain't gonna join a fucking union, all right? A robot is gonna go, hey, I gotta go take a piss. Or, hey, how about a smoke break? Or, hey, Janet's over here talking shit about me. You know, you don't have any employee drama, right? You don't see robots sneaking off to the bathroom to have a little nookie at lunch. And then you get rid of human resources. You know, that's a whole other joke I won't even get into yet. But you see where this is going, where the GDP, gross domestic production, we have about a 4-year gap before robotics and AI really scale up GDP. What do we use until then? We use Bitcoin. And guys and gals, mark my words. Mark my words. That's why our clubs. Oh, speaking of, watch for an announcement about our club at Mar-a-Lago here in a few weeks. Because I have a guy out there looking around for me, and I think he's found me something pretty special. But we shall say. Luckily, he lives local. He drives by there all the time on his way to Mar-a-Lago. Hint, hint. Okay, now, this is where this is all going, guys. It's over the next 2 to 3 years. Right? And when I say 2 to 3 years, you're going to see the Bitcoin hit numbers that no one's ever even thought. You've heard like, oh, that the Bitcoin will hit, $1 million in 2027. No. Folks, you have to think about something. The Bitcoin doesn't care what fiat currency it eats. What the Bitcoin is going to absorb is not just fiat currency. It's credit. It's available credit. It's individual credit. This is why everyone is not wrapping their heads around how big this is going to get. Look at Michael Saylor. What's he doing? He's generating his own credit system. He's selling his obligations, also known as debt, and he's using the proceeds from the sales of the debt and buying Bitcoin. He's using capital markets credit to purchase Bitcoin. Our clubs, we offer up to $250,000 loans, personal loans, so you can buy Bitcoin, and then you pay the loan with the appreciation of the Bitcoin. Guys, it isn't just physical money that's going to rush into this. Oh, no. It's an unlimited amount of credit that's going to rush into the value of Bitcoin. And you guys have never seen credit creation like you're about to see it, because for the first time, lenders will be able to issue a loan on the perfect asset. And they'll be able to combine loans. Like at our bank, we will be able to actually give a home loan. Here's an example. $100,000 house. Now, I know that's unrealistic, but I'm using round numbers. Let's say you actually find a house that's $100,000, and you're like, oh, I want that house. Hey there, Ben. I'd like to get one of your special loans and purchase this house. And I say, okay, the house is $100,000. We'll give you a loan for $110,000. And and this is a very general example. There's other shit in there, right? We'll give you the $100,000 to purchase the home, but we'll also lend you another $10,000 that will be used to purchase some Bitcoin, and we will actually tie the Bitcoin to the loan of the home. You know how easy it's gonna be to actually get credit for that home / fucking Bitcoin loan? Because then the lender looks at it and goes, okay, I have an asset, a home. Well, that requires maintenance. That requires upkeep. They could not take care of it. They could fucking let half of it fall down. It is not a pristine asset over time. Then he looks and goes, oh, wait. So this has 10% of the collateral is actually in Bitcoin. Yes. Okay, now we're talking. We have a pristine appreciating asset that averages 40 to 60% value growth per year. That's just on average, and I think that's actually going to go up pretty quick. So then the lender looks and goes, well, the collateral is a house and Bitcoin. And if it goes up 50% on average, that means next year that $10,000 worth of Bitcoin will be worth 15. Then it will be worth more. Then it will be worth more. Now, you talk about an incentive structure to pay off your house. What if you got a 30-year loan with 10% of the loan held in Bitcoin? And that actual Bitcoin is locked up in the contract for 30 years. How much will that appreciate over the next 30 years? Say you get a 15-year loan. How much will it appreciate over the next 15 years? It will increase to a point that you could actually sell the Bitcoin to realize and pay off the loan. So think about this, all right? If you get a loan for $100,000 and 10% of it is held in the Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin averages 40 to 60%, let's call it 50% increase per year on average. You can pay off that house just with the appreciation of the Bitcoin in approximately 8.5 years. So you make payments on a house for 8.5 years, sell the Bitcoin, the house is yours. So you basically paid hardly, if you have a 15-year loan, you approximately paid off your house in half the time with probably 1/8 of the amount of money out of real pocket money, your monthly payment. So you got $100,000 house for probably, in realistic terms, probably $19,000, maybe $21,000, depending on your interest rate. Think about that. And that's just for a home loan. Folks, we're off to the fucking races. Watch and see. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up because I have a show here with Nico. Oh, yeah. Hey, I am doing an interview with Nico from Simply Bitcoin on a Rumble only show because me and him are going to go into some not so friendly YouTube shit. So we're only going to be on Rumble. So jump on Rumble, look up Simply Bitcoin, and watch. I think we go live. You know, what time is it? We go live. Oh, right here at 2:30 Eastern time on Rumble. Simply Bitcoin. That's going to be a shit show, folks. All right, everyone, have a great day. And guys, you guys should pull a Michael Saylor. Give us a call if you want a loan, if you want like no KYC Bitcoin, join the club, man. Everyone wants their friggin' Bitcoin with no KYC. That's just common sense. Give us a call, 941-413-6920. Everyone, have a great day, and I will see you guys at 2:30 Eastern Time on Simply Bitcoin's Rumble channel. Because we're going to get ready to rumble against the government. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Oh, here you go. Here, 2 p.m. Eastern. I think it's at 2. Yeah, I was going to, way to go, Rick, ruin my life. It's at 2:30, not 2 p.m. Rumble /C/Simply Bitcoin. And I think that's the episode right there, I guess. You guys will find it. Love you guys. I will see you guys on Rumble, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Love you guys. Give us a call, 941-413-6920, and get you some Bitcoin. Love you guys. Bye.
For years, banks promised innovation, but they gave us fees and friction and fine prints. Today, all that changes. Introducing Private Key Bank from BitcoinBens Crypto Club, the world's first Bitcoin native credit union. Rebuilt from the ground up in the heart of El Salvador, a place where your Bitcoin isn't just stored, it grows. Earn 4% interest paid in Bitcoin, compounded, secured, and accessible. No middlemen, no hidden games, just your money working for you. Send funds across borders instantly, without SWIFT codes, without currency conversions. Pay anyone, anywhere, with a tap of a finger. This isn't banking as usual. This is freedom, beautifully engineered. The future of finance is finally here.